Steve, thank you firstly for being here today. Delighted to be exploring this topic with you in more detail. Incredibly successful career. You've worked for a multitude of businesses, different ownerships, different sizes, technology transformation, broader enterprise transformation. And given everything that business leaders and businesses are experiencing at the moment, really do value your thoughts and feedback on this topic.
Thanks for asking me.
In your view, Steve, what does successful delivery transformation look like in the context of today's market disruptions?
Successful delivery transformation hasn't really changed over the years. It's still around having clear outcomes, meeting those outcomes, and having an engaged team that feels empowered top to bottom to actually start delivering those outcomes. I think the thing that's changed is just the rate of pace of change of everything else around it. So the whole environment is just getting a whole lot quicker.
How do you prioritise transformation initiatives when everything is so unpredictable in the current market conditions?
It's really around the culture of the separate client organisations. A technique that works with one client will fail with another client. You really have to understand the culture and some of their drivers in the organisation. Some of the principles are around having really clear strategy, really clear outcomes of that strategy, and making sure that the initiatives are aligned to that strategy. The final thing that really sorts the wheat from the chaff on a lot of initiatives is simply asking the exec if they're prepared to sponsor them. And a conversation I often have with execs is, well, if you're not prepared to put your hand up and sponsor that initiative, why should we do it?
And how do you translate broad strategic goals into actionable delivery, transformation programs across the business?
My technique is not to be looking 18 months hence, but to start looking at some of the near-term deliverables, breaking these big strategic initiatives down into much smaller, digestible chunks that people can understand, people can wrap their arms around, and people can see the outcomes and the benefits of.
Which is so important, as you said, because it's the appreciation of all of those elements.
And you mix that with the culture of the organisation, and that's the fun bit of what I do.
And that leads me nicely onto the next point. How do you align C-suite peers around transformation priorities?
It's all about the people. This is where when I go into an organisation, I build the relationships with that C-suite from day one, because I know at some point in the future, I'll need to call on it. When I build a relationship, I start to understand them, understand what makes them tick, understand their drivers, understand their desired outcomes, and equally their communication style. So I can really understand how to translate initiatives into speak that they'll understand.
How do you balance the need for agile delivery models with the need for control, compliance and risk management?
I think agile has a bit of a bad name for itself, because I think agile delivers all of that control, all of that risk visibility, and delivers it earlier than traditional project and change methods. In agile, we've got collaborative working in much shorter sprints where you're able to tack, you get visibility of issues coming up early, you can change your approach to address certain risks. So I think agile has itself a really bad name at the moment, and I think it's something that really needs to be addressed, because it is a great way of dealing with large initiatives and breaking them down into digestible chunks.
And how do you ensure that delivery transformation remains anchored to changing customer needs and behaviours?
I think that one's actually quite simple, but not very many people do it. And that's about involving your customers, being strong enough, being confident enough in your relationship with your customers to involve them in the transformation initiative, help them shape it, help them understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. I've had a few instances where end customers have come in to shape initiatives, and it's incredibly added to the success. They have a very different perspective, and a perspective that a lot of people in organisations talk about but just don't see. They don't sit in a customer's shoes on a daily basis.
How do you empower teams to take ownership of transformation at the ground level, not just the top down?
I think it's about really understanding the people and just involving them in the initiatives. I don't know all the answers when I go into a client organisation. The exec typically don't know all the answers. However, if you can really engage the people on the ground, bring their expertise, their knowledge, their frustrations that they've had for years, they'll really help shape an initiative to make it successful. And as they see that they can have that impact and shape it, then they become really, really engaged and become an evangelist for change.
Steve, thank you so much for your time today. A lot of incredibly valuable observations and insights. So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.